The plan was simple. Conquer all the mods 10 to the sky and build the most grand, ancient Rome-inspired city in all of Skyblock. But all I started with was some motivation, a vague idea, and a small island in the endless sky. With the basic cobblestone generator out of the way, it was finally time to start actually progressing. In a skyblock pack like this, progression starts with one thing: automation. And since building is the entire point of this world, that became my focus immediately. Most of the structures I have planned are going to rely heavily on two materials: calcite and deepslate. So naturally, I started with calcite. To automate it, I needed to craft an extractor. At this point, I thought I had everything required. Turns out, I didn't. My sieve meshes were only flint tier, and to get kiwi, they need to be iron tier or higher, which meant I still had to do more sieving. I didn't even get very far before I was distracted by a wandering trader doing whatever this was. For a brief moment, I thought I might be able to get some extremely good diamond boots. Unfortunately, they required far more emeralds than I had, so all I got was a glimmer of something great, only to have it taken away. As if that wasn't enough, a llama also decided to claim my bed. Eventually, I did manage to get the kiwi I needed for the extractor. To place everything, I had to extend my island slightly. I used the first block I saw in my inventory, blackstone. This is not a block I want to spend any time looking at. But that's fine. This setup was never meant to be permanent, and the uglier it is, the more motivation I have to replace it later. At long last, the extractor was up and running, and calcite automation was officially online. I spent some extra time sieving for emeralds, still holding out hope for the diamond boots. I also upgraded my meshes to speed things up, but the trader still vanished before I got close. By this point, my storage situation was bad. I made a very deliberate decision to ignore that problem until it became unavoidable. Next, I focused on some quality of life upgrades. Manual sieving had served its purpose, but I was done with it, so I set up an automated flux sieve. At this point, crafting everything was straightforward. I had already stockpiled most of the materials, so it was mostly a matter of placement and wiring. With that done, I made some diamond armor and a sword and shield. I also semi-automated dirt production. A full mud drying setup was still a bit expensive, but this was good enough for now. To help manage resources, I made compacting drawers for gold, iron and copper. I upgraded my furnaces to gold, and then immediately realized that upgrading them any further wasn't worth the effort. Instead, I set up the simplest possible create bulk blaster. It wasn't pretty. It was powered by a hand crank, and it absolutely wasn't permanent, but it worked. I also upgraded my cobblestone and calcite drawers and expanded the calcite automation. I was going to need a lot of it. At this point, I had spent an unreasonable amount of time turning leaves into dirt manually, so I finally committed to fully automating it. I set up a mud extractor, which meant I now needed a way to dry the mud into dirt. This led to an unexpected requirement: black dye. Apparently, the drying basin needs it. Why? I don't know, but I accepted it. A create millstone can produce black dye from coal, so I set one up quickly. Then I needed mineral. Fortunately, mineral is pretty straightforward to get. With my new setup, I also needed more power. Fortunately, by this point, power was no longer a problem. With calcite solved, it was time to tackle deepslate. My plan was to build a cobbled deepslate generator, which requires packed ice. To get packed ice, I needed ice. To get ice, I needed snow. To get snow, I needed slime. And to get slime, I needed milk. Yep, milk. The most reliable way to get a cow in this pack is using a gateway pearl. That required an eye of ender, which I didn't have. So I set up an endstone generator, crushed the endstone and sieved it. By this point, my storage was completely full, so I upgraded to diamond chests and moved on. To prepare for the gateway, I expanded the island significantly using a building gadget and a diamond construction stick. I built a wall around the summoning area, just in case things got out of hand. And then, for the first, but definitely not last time, I forgot to light the area. This resulted in a small jump scare, but at least this time, everything dangerous was contained inside the wall. After a bit of cleanup, some defensive lava placement and a generous number of torches, I was ready. The fight itself went smoothly. The wall worked, the lava worked. I did have some uncomfortable flashbacks to a previous attempt involving spiders. But thankfully, that did not happen again. In the end, I got the milk. Then the slime, then the snow, then the ice. With ice secured, setting up the cobbled deepslate generator was simple. I designed a very basic square floor pattern, nothing fancy, and built it just large enough to move everything I owned into it. I set up the cheapest storage system, a wall of drawers, recreated my automation setups and hooked them up to it. Endstone and cobbled deepslate. Cobblestone. Calcite. Dirt. Then I threw in some obsidian in case I wanted to get into flux power. I only set up one sieve in the new area for now. Once everything was transferred, I said goodbye to my grass island setup. I expanded the floor some more, and at this point, as I had now seen the floor pattern at scale, it made me realize something important. I didn't like it. So I did what any reasonable person would do. I opened a creative world and designed something better. This time with hidden lighting, because I clearly needed it. The new design required deepslate instead of the cobbled version, so I added another bulk blaster to handle smelting. With my copy-paste gadget, the entire floor went down quickly. And with that, the foundation of the project was finally in place. This floor alone shows the scale of what I'm planning here, and it's only the beginning. In the next episode, I'll start building upward and see if this idea turns into a masterpiece or a very large mistake. Either way, it should be interesting.